Hi, my name is David Stringfellow, and for the Communication 345 class, Persuasive Speech, I will be talking about the Mexico and American border crisis currently. Now, the current border crisis is, I think, not necessarily a political issue. I think it's more of a humanitarian issue, and I will use this speech to explain why. America has always been known as being a nation of hope. It's built on immigration, a melting pot of people all over the world who seek a refuge in the United States. That's the kind of the mission statement, in a way, of the United States. And so immigration is not necessarily bad, but the real issue that causes a lot of headbutting is the illegal immigration. And under the Trump administration, the massive 33-foot high wall was erected, and the bill was passed to put up a wall all across the American-Mexico border. And this was an issue because there were people who thought we shouldn't have illegal immigration, and other people who said, well, we're America, we should welcome these people with open arms. Well, the issue is I'm going to explain, is that it's not necessarily an issue of illegal immigration necessarily, although that's definitely part of it, whether people should go through the formal immigration process of getting a green card and claiming citizenship, or just crossing the wall and working illegally and all this stuff. That definitely has an impact. But what I'm talking about is strictly the border crisis. And the border crisis exists because of cartels. Roughly 60% of the border of America and Mexico are governed by cartels on the Mexican side. They operate on the land, and so anybody crossing through runs through their territory. Now, what are cartels after? Cartels are basically gangs, and cartels have tremendous power, especially in Mexico, in terms of political power. And so they can exist and make their own rules and laws. They're basically a sovereign power gang who's after money and power, and the consequences of it is kind of the classic things of cartels is human trafficking, drugs, rape, assault, these kind of things. And so these people passing through are subject to cartel. I went on 2 trips to the Arizona border in the last 3 months, and camped along the wall and helped this guy who's quite controversial. And but what he does is he has power. He is given authority from the United States Border Patrol to camp along the wall and intercept women and children that are trafficked across the wall by the cartels. You may think, well, trafficked across from a bad place to a good place, from an unsafe place to America, the nation of hope, that doesn't sound like trafficking. Well, they traffic women and children across to distract Border Patrol. In this area of Arizona, the construction company, Fisher Construction, completed this wall, and under the Biden administration has been told under their contract to remove certain sections of the wall. Basically a part of an open borders policy. And the cartels have capitalized on this and send women and children across the wall through these holes. And the Border Patrol are so strung out and underfunded that they respond first to the women and children, while the cartels, their big business is drug traffic. And so while the Border Patrol is distracted by the women and children and helping them and such, drugs are smuggled across this border. In the 6-mile stretch in rural Arizona, where I went those 2 times, there were on average around 100 drug traffickers crossing the border every single night, just in 6 miles. The whole wall is 1,300 miles. And so this is not necessarily an issue of should we close the borders or open the borders. This is an issue of what do we do with cartel traffic of women and kids, and cartel traffic of drugs. And the problem is that the women and children who cross are then usually intercepted by traffickers on the other side, on the American side, operating under the cartel, paid off by the cartel, and then sold these women and children, then sold into trafficking in the United States. So they're not only, if they're caught, then they're a decoy. If they're not caught, then they're considered a commodity that can be sold in the United States, a disgusting trade. And so by allowing open borders, my argument in this speech is to say that by allowing open borders, this is allowing open inhumane tactics used by the cartel, specifically on women and children. There's, on the American side, right within the United States, within miles of the border, there's rape trees and holding centers and all these places where women and children are held in trafficking until they are then sent around the country through various means. Now, I personally witnessed this. I sat on the border in pairs with different people who were willing to volunteer and just intercept women and children so that the Border Patrol could respond to the drug traffic. And we would hang out with them and give them water and food. This was usually at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, very cold out, and they're in the Arizona desert. There's no water, nothing, no amenities. Tucson, the closest city, is 60 miles away. And then we'd wait with them, and then the Border Patrol, when they were ready, would come pick them up. And I saw these women cross under tremendous stress. I met this kid named Brian, who was a 15-year-old kid who was, his family paid for the cartel to send him across the border alone. And these, it's a very complicated issue, and my point in arguing this is it's not political. It has to do with the cartel. And stopping the cartel or doing what it takes to not foster what's going on. If that means putting up the wall, you definitely hurt the cartel industry, and yet refugees from these places of civil unrest cannot enter the country. That's another issue. Thank you.